Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The Lloydminster Fire Department responded to a residential house fire of two multi-level buildings last night. Reports of a fire were called in at around 5 p.m. off 52 Avenue and 16th Street. The department came with 4 trucks and 21 members to handle the fire on 2 properties. ATCO Gas was also requested to secure 2 failed natural gas lines, but they were not suspected to be the root cause of the fire.
We still are controlling the scene of both houses, so we'll be starting our fire investigation on the cause of the fire today and tomorrow over the next few days here. So it doesn't look suspicious at this point, but we do want to kind of determine what started it and caused it. So if there's any future issues anywhere else, we can kind of hopefully mitigate those now versus later.
The fire chief says wind could have been a factor of why the fire spread to 2 properties. The department was glad no more houses were affected.
It's nice to see that we limited damage basically to those 2 houses. You know, protection of the rest of the properties that are around there was done extremely well based on the conditions that we were dealt with. And you know, we'll just go into that investigation mode at this time.
All residents of the buildings are safe and no injuries were reported. There are 94 new cases of COVID-19 in the province, including 9 in the Northwest. 5 of those cases are in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 13 active cases. There are 752 active cases in Saskatchewan, with 89 in the Northwest. Our zone still has the 3rd highest number of active cases in the province, behind only Saskatoon and Regina. 87 people are in hospital, including 10 in the Northwest. More than 937,000 vaccine doses have been administered in Saskatchewan, with close to 60,000 in our zone. The City of Lloydminster is discussing the creation of a downtown area redevelopment committee to help guide in the implementation of the downtown area redevelopment plan. Jace Mackey has more.
The Downtown Area Redevelopment Plan, or DARP, serves as the city's framework for the redevelopment of Lloydminster's downtown. It lays out an action plan to revive the downtown with the hope of making it a showpiece of Lloydminster. Now at this week's GPC meeting, City Administration brought forward the idea of creating a committee of community members that would work with the city to help in the implementation of the DARP.
Through the community, through the city, the DARP we brought in a consultant, did a lot of legwork on that, which we're very proud of. We came up with a report. That report is basically the guiding principle that the committee will be able to take.
The volunteer committee would be made up of members from the city, community interest groups, and business stakeholders who would help decide which aspects of the DARP to prioritize.
The groundwork is laid out. It's really helping a group get to consensus and say, okay, we really encourage the city to tackle these 2 items this year on the low-hanging fruit, as it's referred to on the short list. Then there's some medium and long-term.
While the committee would not have final decision-making powers, Mayor Gerald Albert sees the value input from the community can have in shaping the downtown.
It's important that having that community input through that committee, helping give some direction to administration to say, we think this is where you need to be. Administration will go back and say it is or it isn't possible due to the dollars that we believe that are available, and at the end of the day, council making the final decision on budget.
City Council will be able to make a final decision on the committee at a future council meeting. For Primetime Local News, I'm Jace Mackey.
Whenever you hear of someone designing a new expansion of a school, you usually don't think of a student. But a grade 10 student at Holy Rosary High School has been a huge part of the expansion and is being recognized for his work.
It feels pretty good, actually, in being able to make stuff that will be in the school in the future.
Nathan Eckel is a grade 10 student at Holy Rosary High School, and he's taken the concepts and ideas brought up by the school board and created 3D models and renderings of what the new expansion will look like. LCSD wanted to recognize Nathan's work by presenting him with a $500 scholarship, a first for the division.
It's something we're looking at going forward. I mean, if we have exceptional students doing exceptional work for us, then why not? Let's recognize them and give them something to take forward with them.
Eckel was sent designs by Holy Rosary's principal, Vince Oreo, and ran with it, and now he has designed many areas of the expansion.
The favorite thing so far is probably the new common space that's going on to the south wing. And just being able to like take the designs they had for it and make it like a 3D model and everything. It's been great fun doing it.
A lot of the work Nathan has done is work usually done by contractors or people who have specialized in this field in post-secondary, so the division is amazed by his progress so far.
When we're given a talent, God asks us to let it shine, not to hide it under a bushel, and Nathan is a shining example of that. He took the opportunity to have student voice in a project and he grew it. He brought things to life that I didn't know how they would look. So he's really used his talent in ways that a lot of people have benefited.
For the planning of the new expansion, the division has been getting students involved for their ideas and consultations. So having a student play such a huge role in the design is something LCSD is grateful for.
So to continue that with this work is great, and it just makes all the students feel a part of the process, and they buy into what we're doing and what's going to be available to them.
They are hoping to have the expansion open for the 2022-23 school year. Welcome back. We're a few weeks away from the Tunes and Tailgate show, with all the proceeds going to the Second Chance Trail Ride Society. That helps support organ and tissue donation awareness. Connor Chan sits down with two of the performers for the show and their excitement to be involved.
As the Tunes and Tailgate show is coming up fast, joining us here on Primetime Local News are the country duo Cross Parallel, which consists of Jordan Pritchett and Danielle King, a Vermilion, Alberta native. Thank you both for joining us here today. Before we talk about the show, you guys do have some new music out, so talk about your guys' newest single.
Yeah, we just released our new single. It's called Better With Time, and the video just came out today. When we wrote the song, we wrote it in Nashville with Derek Norsworthy and Brandon Green, and we just kind of, I don't know, we really vibed with those guys. So
yeah, they were groovy.
Yeah, and we came in with an idea, and it turned into a song that we really think represents our love story very well. We're a couple, not everybody knows that, but yeah, and we really think others can relate the same way and see the meaning of, you know, how it relates to us is our relationships has gotten better over time. We've grown as people, we've grown together, we learn each other better. That's kind of what the song's about, and we think others who, you know, long-term relationships can relate in that way, I would really think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said off the top, we are talking about the Tunes and Tailgate show, which you two are a part of, and we talked about it here on our show before. How excited are you guys to be performing in the show?
Oh man, well, it's our first show with a full band since like March of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. So we're like raring to go, and it's even better that it's my hometown is Vermilion, Alberta. So I'm kind of coming home for it, and it's for an amazing cause. So we're helping to raise awareness for organ donors and just like everything that goes into that. And it's just going to be a really fun thing to be a part of. And his dad's playing the show as well. We're going to get to share the stage with him. So.
Yeah, between her family, entire family probably being there and,
and honking their horns.
Yeah, and my dad and Ray Muscle, who's involved in all of it and playing. A lot of his family's involved, so it's kind of like a family gathering of some sort.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast too. Like if you're coming to the show, like all of us are so ready to be on the stage again. So it's gonna be like a really cool experience for everyone, I think.
When you look at the lineup for the show, it seems to be a pretty big family affair. Jordan, your dad, of course, is Aaron Pritchett, who's performing with you. Ray Muscle has some of his family members involved as well performing. Jordan, for you, what's it going to be like performing with your dad? I'm sure that's happened many times, but is there any chance that maybe we could see I don't know, stealing kind of the spotlight in a sense from your dad, or any other great father-son moments that we could maybe see with you two performing together?
For sure. I've done it quite a bit, but, you know, obviously
upstage him?
No, not upstage him. That's one area where I know that I look up to him so much, and he's an amazing entertainer, and he's just great on stage, such a good show to see. So if anybody's in the area and hasn't seen him, he's worth, the ticket alone. But yes, we have tons of moments. He's just very I don't know, he's more himself on stage than anywhere else. And that's kind of, I think a lot of artists can relate to that. But so when we're on stage together, we've always had, I don't know, it's just chill almost. And we just have a lot of fun. And there'll be a moment in the show where, I don't want to give away too much, but we're kind of, all going to share the stage at one point, and it's going to be a pretty meaningful thing. And so it'll be cool to do it with all of us who are involved in the show. So he has had me up on stage a lot, but it should be one of the more special moments coming on July 10th.
Aside from this show, what other live performances have you been booking as the world starts to open up more for concerts and live music events?
We're starting to fill up our calendar again. Smaller things, more acoustic shows. So this might be one of the only full band ones that we're doing right now, as of right now. But hopefully, we'll take whatever we can get right now.
We had a lot. We had a big year planned before COVID. 2020 was supposed to be a lot of festivals, and they're still not coming back this year. So we're hoping next year is going to be quite busy with the big shows, the big festivals. And this year we're still kind of getting everything together. We're planning to have an EP released at the end of the year or the beginning of next year. So,
but our inbox is starting to fill up with people saying, "Hey, are you open to doing a concert?" And we're obviously
we definitely we're raring to get on stage. So.
Jordan and Danielle, thank you very much for joining us. You can check out Cross Parallel on all major music platforms as well. For more information on the Tunes at Tailgate show on July 10th, and to get tickets for that, head over to 2cndtr.com/tunes and tailgates. Both of you, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
San Diego will host the best of the PGA this weekend for the 121st U.S. Open. Evan Kenny has more with Marty Wheaton on what to expect.
Well, the year of majors will continue on as, at the end of 2020, we saw one U.S. Open at Winged Foot. Now, Torrey Pines will be the host of the 2021 U.S. Open. Joining me today to break this down is Marty Wheaton from Wheaton Golf Services and the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Club. Marty, thanks for taking this time and joining me.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, Marty, personally, I am supporting the Tiger Victory Sunday red here for a good reason. The last time Torrey Pines hosted any major, let alone hosting a U.S. Open, was in 2008 when we saw Tiger Woods pull out an unbelievable victory. A lot of people calling it, possibly the best U.S. Open of all time. I guess just what do you remember from that 2008 U.S. Open?
Just a wild game from Tiger Woods, up and downs from everywhere, chipping in 60-foot putts, and obviously the fractured leg, which he was in a tremendous amount of pain. And to walk that golf course that long and perform under that pressure with a fractured leg is one of the best performances in all of sports.
And I mean, Marty, seeing him celebrate after he hit that, 12, 15-foot putt, bouncing all over the green there. I mean, that's really a sight to see.
Yeah, one of the most iconic scenes in golf for sure. And that will go down, like I said, as one of the best sports performances. And other athletes even refer to it. Unbelievable performance by Tiger Woods in 2008.
Now, Marty, that was the last time Torrey Pines hosted a major, but, Torrey Pines is a regular on the PGA Tour, hosting the Farmers Insurance Open in January there, Patrick Reed being the most recent winner of that one. Now, Marty, how do you think Torrey Pines will play different, in January versus where we are today?
Certainly it's going to play a lot tougher. The fairways are going to be more narrow. Landing spots are going to be a little smaller, and then the rough looks unbelievable. So always with the US Open, they're kind of riding the line of difficult and impossible. So we'll see if the USGA can kind of keep wraps on that.
And now, just looking at past U.S. Opens, Marty, typically the winner of it is one of those bombers, looking at the past 5 championships. DJ Brooks Koepka, Woodland, and DeChambeau are in there with Koepka winning 2 different majors there. Now, do you expect another bomber to win this year?
I'm looking at Dustin, Rory, Xander's up there. Obviously, he's not one of the longest hitters, but definitely going to be more favored towards the long hitters.
And with that being said, Marty, which one of those guys is your favorite this weekend?
I'm going to go with Dustin Johnson this week. I know he's been trending, he hasn't been playing his best golf, but if he gets on with the driver, obviously he's one of the best all-around games that we have on the PGA Tour. So looking at Dustin Johnson this week.
And, just speaking of length there, I mean, Torrey Pines back in 2008 was the longest major in history. Now things have changed a little bit, but obviously the long bomb hitters will still benefit there, Marty. For myself, I got 2 guys in the back of my head, one being Jon Rahm. I mean, it was terrible to see, him having to leave the Memorial Tournament about 2 weeks ago there. So, I could see him really bouncing back here. And then the guy that you mentioned before, Xander Schauffele, I mean, he's from San Diego. With Torrey Pines being a public course, he's played it, numerous times, and it's sort of his home course. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see him do well as well.
Yeah, Jon Rahm's a great pick there, and certainly what happened to him at Memorial. I'm just glad that it happened to, I guess, someone like Jon Rahm instead of a guy that's just an up-and-comer, and pretty much his career would have been on the line there.
Yeah, Marty, it should be an interesting weekend here coming up. Things kick off Thursday morning here and finish up on Sunday. So thank you very much for taking this time and joining me.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Evan.
Now our Connor Chan will take another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Let's take a look at some other temperatures. We were one of the cooler spots here as we take a look at some other numbers right now as we have that cold air coming in and lots of cloud coverage, lots of rain expected over the course of the next couple of days, and just heavy winds as well, which makes us cooler than 12 degrees right now. As we look out west, we see Edmonton at 13 degrees, not far behind from us, with 20 degrees in Red Deer and Jasper, 18 degrees for Rocky Mountain House. As we look to Saskatoon, a little bit warmer. We're still in those mid-teen temperatures, 20 degrees in Saskatoon currently right now, though, with 16 in Prince Albert and Melfort, with 14 up in Meadow Lake and 15 in North Battleford. Take a look to the far north parts of Saskatchewan, kind of the same results as us here. Lots of cloud coverage still kind of hovering over. Chance of some showers also making its way through parts of northern Alberta and Saskatchewan. So 12 in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows right now, 17 in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, 9 degrees in South End with 16 in Flin Flon. Moving up to those northern Alberta temperatures, 12 degrees at Fort McMurray and Slave Lake with 14 in Peace River. High levels sitting in single digits right now at 9 degrees, and Fort Chipewyan just sitting at 15 degrees. A little bit warmer down south in those southern Alberta and Saskatchewan parts, in those mid-20s. Temperatures continuing on there with 25 degrees in Medicine Hat and Lethbridge, 24 in Calgary, and then 19 degrees in Banff. And then same can be said over for areas like Moose Jaw, Swift Current, and Regina, all sitting at 24 right now, with Estevan sitting at 25. Now looking ahead to the rest of the country here, a little bit warmer also in Winnipeg as that warm air still continues to make its way further out eastbound there, with 24 degrees in Quebec City and Toronto today, 18 degrees in St. John's, with 21 in Halifax. So much warmer in the Atlantic provinces than we saw in the last couple of days here. Yellowknife sitting at 17, with Vancouver sitting at 21 degrees right now, and Edmonton, of course, seeing that cloud coverage, same as us here, where we have seen lots of cloud coverage, lots of eerie conditions all day. We did see a little bit of rain earlier in that later morning, early afternoon, but nothing. We could see a little bit over in the evening today as well, and then could see some heading into the next couple of days as well for the weekend. Now, this is what we are going to see for tomorrow. We are going to warm up just a little bit here. We're still not back into the 20s. We're into 18 degrees for Lloydminster, Maidstone, as well as up in Cold Lake. We'll see some 19s up in the northern parts in Marwayne, Bonnyville, and St. Paul. 20 degrees up in Vegreville with 18. Also, we'll see that in North Battleford and St. Walburg and Meadow Lake. We'll still have that low pressure system kind of making its way through, but nothing too heavy. No heavy systems expected to make its way through into that Lloydminster area. We could just see some rain into Saturday as we now take a look at the 7-day forecast here. So some showers expected on that Saturday. We do have Ribfest starting tomorrow, so that is some great chance to get some great food up until Sunday for Father's Day. A little bit cooler again on Sunday with that high of 14 degrees. Then we get back to 20-degree temperatures, back to seasonal averages there at 21 on Monday, 24 degrees on Tuesday. We'll still see lots of sun and cloud coverages as well, with 25 on Wednesday, and then 21 degrees on Thursday with more rain expected. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Hello and welcome to our next episode of Sustainable Solutions. I'm Joe and I'm here with the lovely Jess from Hamel Meats. We're going to talk about some Father's Day gift ideas. Jess, thank you for having me here today. What kind of meats would you pair well with a Father's Day cookout?
You know, definitely our recommendations, I'm going to say steak for one, obviously. We got them in the cases, we have them individually as well, and we brought them in fresh. Brisket, we've got those in fresh as well and frozen. And then of course some baby back ribs, I would say you can't go without.
Oh, yum. Jess, can you talk us through this assortment of ribs and rib rubs, sauces, marinades, all the things that you have behind us here?
Yes, the good stuff. Okay, so we've got some local stuff from Wainwright, 1908 barbecue. Then we bring our stuff in from Texas. This is our Suckle Buster line. My favorite for my go-to chicken is Clackerdas by far. You gotta love the name even. And then we've also brought some great sauces from Bow Valley Barbecue, and that's in Canmore, Alberta.
Okay, awesome. Jess, how are we gonna cook all these things?
So I would definitely throw it on one of our Green Mountain grills if possible. And we've also brought in a new line of smokers called Z Grills, and that's perfect timing for Father's Day. Great price, great quality.
Oh, I love that. My husband is just learning how to cook, and he started with the smoker, and he is running with it. He loves it.
Perfect. And you know what? Even if you're not wanting a full smoker, we've got a pizza oven pellet smoker as well, which is versatile. You take it off, open fire as well for that. So you have to come out and check that product for sure.
That sounds fantastic. Jess, thank you so much for having us here today. I can't wait to shop after we're finished.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, we have all of our meats picked out with Jess from Hamel Meats, and now we're outside with Joey from R&D. Joey, what are we cooking up today?
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. We're doing up some ribs on the smoker today. We just decided we thought we should throw some on just to try them out today.
They smell absolutely amazing. Joey, what's the difference between grilling and smoking?
Well, grilling, everything you got grilling is you have your tie temperatures. These smokers here go up to 500 degrees. So if you still wanted to sear a steak, you're capable of doing it on our units. The Green Mountain units are a nice unit. You can get up to 500 degrees, so you can sear a steak. You can do your chicken breasts at 400 if you want to get them done in 20 minutes. Once you get to your smoking side, everything's slow. You want to cook at like 160, 170. The longer, the better. Like if you do a rib, I'll do a rib for 8 hours instead of like do a short rib for 3 or 4. The lower the temperature, the longer you cook it, the more tender your meat's going to be.
Yum. I can't wait to try these. Joey, what do you have going on here?
We just did a little rub in the morning. We grabbed the hog wilder. I grabbed hog wilder, and then I always add brown sugar. My trick, I always added brown sugar to make it sweet. So we cooked that for 4 hours with nothing wrapped on it, and then we went in ahead and wrapped it in tin foil for the last 2 hours, and I used the Greek dressing after they finish it off.
Thank you so much for being here today with us.
No problem, thank you.
All right, we've covered the meats, we've covered how to cook them. These caught my eyes, Jeff, when we were inside as like an awesome starter pack for Father's Day. Do you want to talk a little bit about these? So Joey talked to us about his favorite, which was
the hog waller.
Hog waller, and you mentioned the chicken dust.
Yes, which is our clucker dust. Amazing.
I love that. So let's talk about the other two that are in here. One's for beef, I see.
Yes, which is really good, by the way. I did it on a brisket this weekend. Fantastic.
Yum. And last one you say is like the all-purpose kind of all-season.
Yes. So our SPG from Suckle Busters, you will put that stuff literally on everything, even right down to your popcorn, let alone all your smoking and grilling needs for sure.
Yum, I love the popcorn idea. I'm going to take home one of these 9-packs that's in behind here. Tell me why this is my best option for a Father's Day gift.
So I really like the 9-pack option as well. When you haven't tried all these spices yet and you're like, oh, which one am I gonna like? Which one do I want to try? This 9-pack is the best because it's got little packets of all of our kinds in there. So it gives you an opportunity to try them before committing to a full bottle.
I love that. Jess, thank you again so much for doing this today. I'm leaving so inspired for my Father's Day gifts. I know exactly what I'm taking home.
Fantastic. I'm so glad.
Awesome.
Well, here on Primetime Local News today, we are joined by a familiar face. Joe Chawanik is here. And Joe, we had talked to you a few months back about the release of your book. And now we have kind of an add-on to that, I guess. But before we get to that, let's just go back and talk about your book on abandoned buildings. Tell me a little bit about that and how the reception was when you initially released that.
Well, thanks for having me back, Stacy. Yeah, the book project started out back in late 2018. And in September of 2020, the book came out, and we're now in our third printing. So I would say things are going really well. It was on the bestseller list in Alberta and in Canada for a couple of weeks, and in Alberta for a longer period of time. But it was very well received. I'm over the moon and humbled by the whole thing.
Well, and now the next step here is even more amazing. You have an exhibit now with photos from the book at the Royal Alberta Museum. So how did that all come about?
So about a month after the book came out, the museum contacted the publisher and asked if I would be interested in doing an exhibit at the museum. And of course, I didn't hesitate. I said yes. So it's my first ever exhibit, so I'm kind of excited. It was supposed to open in December and has been set up since December, and I finally got to see it on Monday, and today was the grand opening. So it's pretty exciting to see. I'm really honored and overwhelmed and a little humbled by the whole thing. Was not expecting any of this.
So when people go see your exhibit at the museum, Joe, is there an explanation below each of the photos, or is it just the photos set up, or what will people see when they go there?
It's pretty much like the book. So there's 30 photos on display. Each of them has a little plaque with some information, not as much as in the book. The museum shortened them down for space limits, but yeah, there's a description of them there. The nice thing is it's in the free part of the museum, so people don't have to pay to go to that part of the Royal Alberta Museum to see it. I, of course, encourage everyone to do it because it's a great resource and great educational thing. So it's free and it's there till Labor Day.
Well, this is just such great news. Has it spurred you on, Joe, to think about expanding this project and maybe going through some of the other provinces and taking photos and doing books on abandoned buildings in some of the other provinces?
First and foremost, I got more of Alberta to explore, so I'm going to work on that. And I think I'll be leaving the other provinces to other folks. Like Chris Attrell in Saskatchewan has his book out, Forgotten Saskatchewan, that came out before mine. So he's been working with the same publisher. So, and I think they have someone in Manitoba. So I think I'll stick to what I know. I've got so much more of Alberta to explore, and I've got a whole summer of plans of lots of road trips, I hope.
Do you have people who have been contacting you and saying, oh, hey, I didn't see this building in the book, but this building is located outside this community and it's a really cool building. You should come and check it out. Have you had quite a bit of that?
I sure have. And that's honestly the way I get lots of my leads now, of people asking me to come out and photograph stuff. And just as much as important as photographing the book and or photographing stuff and preserving history, I'm really enjoying talking to families and learning the histories of them and the pride that they have in their family heritage and stuff. So yeah, that's, and I encourage people to reach out to me through my Facebook page. If they have something that they think I should photograph that would make a good conversation piece or a little bit of history, I'd love to learn more.
Is there any sort of criteria that you use with these buildings? Like if it's a building that's basically totally demolished flat, can you still take photos of it if there's a good story behind it, or how does that work, Joe?
Yeah, I'm open to almost anything. I've now asked for photos in advance to see it, so I, obviously don't drive 5 or 6 hours. But yeah, I mean, all kinds of derelict, disrepair, decay. I mean, if there's a picture there that can tell a story and a story that goes with it, it's all part of a vanishing history that it seems to be disappearing quickly.
Well, Joe, this is just an amazing project. And the fact now that you're in the Royal Alberta Museum, it just, again, exciting for you on all different levels. So what are the hours of the exhibit? Do you know at the museum? Is it just regular museum hours?
Yeah, best to check the Royal Alberta Museum website. I forgot to check the hours. And I don't think they're open like Monday, Tuesday, but I think 10 to 4, I think, something like that. So, and like I said, it's that part of the museum's free. So you just might have to wait with the COVID if there's a queue of line or whatever, but yeah.
Well, congratulations, Joe. The book was fabulous. I imagine the exhibit is just as amazing as well. So if people want to get in touch with you once again, what's the best way to reach you if they have an idea or they know of an abandoned building in Alberta somewhere that they think would be perfect for the next book?
Best now, I have a website, so abandonedalberta.com, and on there is my link to my Facebook page and email. So that's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for talking to us once again. And we are super excited to see what comes out in your next book and what happens with you in the future.
Really appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you again so much for having me back.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great rest of your night.